Record numbers of men are breaking, just like my client said right before we got on this stream, because nobody gave us the tools for this. And the ones that are offered just don't work for men. Modern men, we cannot just leave this to chance anymore. We can't afford to be ignorant of this anymore. Ignorance is bliss, but awareness brings responsibility. What's good, fatherhood? Welcome to this episode of Uncommon, the Dad Work podcast. I just wrapped a session with a cherished client. He works with high-level executives, and he said something to me that really hit home for me. And he works with millennials who are spiraling with anxiety. He sees more millennials struggling with this than any group of men that he's worked with before. And that really hit me because I have been that guy. I was that guy. Guys who are fit, guys that are going to CrossFit, the guys that run really successful companies, but internally, they're falling apart. And if you've been here for a while, you know I've been there. And I know that you listening to this, you're probably there too, or you've been there recently. Even if you haven't acknowledged it yet, whether you haven't acknowledged it inwardly or outwardly. Last year, it was the hardest year of my adult life, trying to hold it all together so that my family didn't feel the pressures that I was under and that we were under with massive shifts in our business. In my business. It's our business, though, because it feeds the whole family and my wife. Everything that she does in the home is what enables me to do this. And let me tell you what that pressure actually felt like. Not metaphorically, but physically. Breath trapped in my chest that I just couldn't get out. Felt like I couldn't breathe, but that breath was in, but I couldn't get enough in. And then also I couldn't exhale and get it out. This static tension, almost like tingling through the arms, shoulders permanently stuck up towards my ears that, yeah, I could force them down, but they just drift back up. My neck, my chest, my shoulders tight like dried leather and like overly cooked Jack Link's jerky that you just can't chew no matter how much you want to. Headaches that would creep in out of nowhere and then linger for days. A desire to stay in bed, but knowing that if I didn't get up to do it, that nobody else would. An unsteadiness that would come out of nowhere and then go just as quickly as it came. But that wasn't the worst part. Because the worst part is that it followed me home into the house. I could walk through the door, but not be there. Still thinking about work, still thinking about rebuilding the business so that I can provide the life that I want, that I'm devoted to for my wife and for my kids. And still reaching for my phone just to, check or finish one little task. And my son would ask me a question and I'd realize that I was staring at my screen, wondering why the hell I even picked my phone up again. And then the moments that I'm not proud of. And yes, I'm a hell of a lot better than I used to be, but I'm not perfect. And any man who says that he is either a saint or a total liar. And I'm not. And after those consistent interruptions, I'm trying to, make dinner or get changed. God, if I can just get my clothes off and get non-work clothes on or whatever it might be after those consistent interruptions. And you know the ones because they want your attention too when you get home. That fuse would burn out. And I'd be shorter with them than I vow to be as a dad. Quicker to shut them down and send them off to go do something else than I want to be. Quicker to discipline without loving them and opening my heart to them first. And sometimes my wife could see the tension building and she'd try to redirect the kids to give me more space, but somehow that felt almost worse because I knew that she could sense it. And that she could sense that that pressure was coming out onto the people that I love the most. And that sucks. And most men think that they fail as fathers because they aren't disciplined enough. And that's why that happens. Or because of their dad, and that's what they saw, and that's why that happens. But that's probably, well, not even probably, but that is really not the problem. Yeah, you got programs, yeah, you got patterns, but beyond that, it's something else. And the problem is the pressure. And the modern father carries a lot more pressure than any man in history. And yeah, our ancestors used to take down multi-thousand-pound woolly mammoths, but they lived that life, and they did it together in a tribe. And we evolved, probably now, current records show, for about 1,000,000 years to do exactly that, to hunt, to gather, to fight, to fuck, and to have fun. And to get all that done in 4 to 6 hours a day and then just be in connection with each other the rest of the time. We're not on edge like, oh, what am I going to do about this bill that's coming up? We're constantly stimulated by our phones. That's what we were built for. The modern man, though, where you are, where I have been, where I am, where our kids are growing up into, and I can imagine the challenges that they're going to face. You are a provider. And then you're a husband. And then you're a present father. And even if you don't feel like it, you are more present than any generation of father in history. Our generation of fathers has 3x the amount of time that we spend with our kids compared to dads in 1967. And yet, only 39% of dads feel like they're doing enough. And I think it's far lower than that. I mean, 61% of dads feel like they're just not cutting it. They're not doing enough. And you're fighting to stay fit, and you're more fit than most, I imagine. You're a little bit better off than where you could be. You're building a business. You're making money. You're putting food on the table. And you're really wanting to keep your marriage alive. And you try. But it's not perfect. And you do all of that while you're exhausted. And you do all of that maybe with one brother by your side that's just a little bit deeper than a surface level relationship. 20% of guys don't even have one close friend. Maybe you're like me, maybe that's you. And all that pressure shows up. All that pressure builds up. And inside of a volcano, that pressure has to go somewhere. And you notice it. You notice it in physical exhaustion. You're the tired dad, and man, we love to popularize that. Have some more coffee. You're mentally overloaded. The absent dad. You're physically here, but mentally you're everywhere else because you can't turn it off. You come in the house and your mind is racing with all these ideas and all these things that you got to do, or you're totally fried, but you're wired at the same time. And how the heck do I balance that? You're like that meme of the skeleton that just had coffee, like, ugh, or you're emotionally overloaded. And you're trying to numb out to it with everything under the sun, and that pressure just keeps building. Nothing really takes the edge off. You're just trying to use anything just to get you to go and get those shoulders away from your ears for a second. These are the three of the most obvious ways that this stuff is showing up. And here's the issue. Most men, me, I see you in the chat, Chili22, that's me. That's me too. Most of us know only one way to deal with that. And it works when we're on the battlefield, when we're at a hunting party, hunting woolly mammoths. But it's run its course. It doesn't work anymore because we're asked to show up differently. And we have different responsibilities now. And we weren't built to be on 15, 16, 17, 18 hours a day. And that's the suck it up, the bury it, the push through, the sleep when you're dead. And yes, there's a time and place for these things. And yes, we have this gift of strength and the ability to push through. And we do have to put that to use. But it's also, as classically with the tragic fall of the hero, it's our greatest gift and also our Achilles heel. And right now, if we're living unconsciously, guys, it's your Achilles heel. It was mine. All that pressure builds up. We hemorrhage our energy, our vitality, our presence, our playfulness. That pressure builds up and it has to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. If we don't address it, if we don't process it, we get it all over our family and we wreck the relationships that we're doing all of this for. It's counterintuitive. It's the provider paradox. You've heard me talk about it. And sometimes that comes out as anger, comes out hot, comes out in that fight. You get irritated when the kids interrupt you again and again and again and again and again. When you get irritated when you come home and your wife is stressed out from managing the kids all day and they're chaos and you love them, but you know that they are, and her stress comes out sideways at you and you overreact. You go tit for tat. But sometimes we can fight, we can flight, we can freeze. It comes out as flight. It comes out as escape. And you grab your phone and you scroll Instagram and you scroll TikTok and you check stocks because you got a little bit of money in there and you're like, I'm gonna put money in crypto, even though I should be putting it into my family because we're just making it. You pour a drink. And I only have 4 IPAs a week. It's not a big deal. Or you slam another coffee. Why? Because it feels good and you feel like that skeleton just holding on like over caffeinated high heartbeat, but you're still exhausted. I wouldn't function. I wouldn't be a person without caffeine. We popularized this. Man, it's hard. You retreat for a quick visit to Pornhub, or you turn it on while you're driving your car just so you can feel something different. After scrolling the thirst traps on Instagram and TikTok that just always lead you down this same pathway. Ones that you try and hide from your wife. You're like, don't pick up my phone. Don't look at Instagram. Because and you're holding that. Or you go on Amazon, you get this cart full of things that you really don't need, but you're like, I'm going to go buy that thing because I really want that. I want that kayak that we're going to take out on the lake once in 5 years. Feels good in the moment. You can justify it. And then you check back in on work again. Well, why? What distracts you? Takes the edge off for a second. All the counterfeit comforts that you never really feel better after doing. You feel less rested, more irritated afterwards, but you just can't break the cycle. Sometimes, though, it leaks out as freeze. It leaks out as shutdown, and you freeze. And you're there physically, but you're not actually present. It's tense with your wife, and you should say something, but you're not saying anything. Your kids have asked you 100 times, and now instead of being like, no, honey, we're going to do it after daddy finishes making dinner, you just don't say anything. And they keep asking, and it's not even that you're ignoring them. It's like you're not even there. And none of this happens because you're weak. None of this happens because you're a bad husband, because you're a bad dad, because you're a toxic man. It happens because men were never given the tools to regulate under the pressure of the modern technological world. With all this pleasure, all these dopamine hits, all this decadence at our fingertips. Grinding 50 to 60 hours a week just for food and to make the mortgage payment, and then having nothing left for them. Record numbers of men are breaking, just like my client said right before we got on this stream, because nobody gave us the tools for this. And the ones that are offered just don't work for men. I can't tell you how many guys that, and I'm not going to tell you not to go to therapy, but that come to me and they're like, it was good, but it didn't help all the way. There's something missing. And then you just get a pat on the ass. You're like, keep going. And I do it. And there's dad influencers out there that tell you, keep showing up. And yes, we have to. And it's good natured. But what do we do? It's not enough. We all want to be the safe harbor for our family. We all want to be that. We don't want to just be the provider. We want to be the safe harbor. And I know listening to this, watching this right now, you're like, yeah, I want that. But what does that actually mean? What does it actually mean? And if we are struggling to do that for ourselves, if we're struggling to do that for ourselves, to feel that inside of ourselves, how in the hell are we going to do it for them? Well, I have good news. And I have bad news for you. I have bad news, I have good news. I'm going to give it to you all mixed together, and you can make whatever you want out of it. Your nervous system is always communicating, even when you don't say a thing. And every single person in the room can feel it. And you've experienced this. You walk into a room and instantly you're like, I like that guy. I never met that guy, but I like this guy. I want to go talk to this guy. And there's another guy in the room and you're like, well, fuck that guy. You just know something's off with him. And I know that you're laughing because you're like, yeah, I've done this before. Automatically didn't like that guy. You can think of exactly who it is in your life right now. You walk into the house after a day at work feeling all right. And your wife's like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, oh, it hurts. It hurts because she nailed something that you've been burying. And maybe you fight or you flight or you freeze in the model that we've talked about as soon as she says that. And now you see it. You're like, oh, yeah, I do that. And that is not just intuition. That's nervous system communication. Below the level of words and posture and micro expressions, it's nervous system communication. Because your body emits an electromagnetic field. Your heart, your brain, your digestive system, they're called biological oscillators. They generate a field that extends an average of 2 feet around the body in all directions. That's from the heart. The heart is the strongest one. And all biological systems synchronize. That's how systems work. And we're getting a little old for this now. We teach my son analog clocks. He's homeschooled. I want him to be an analog kid. But back in the day, I sound like an old man now. You could walk into a store. You could probably find a grandfather clock store. I remember the one off the highway driving near Rockford, Illinois here. I could see it. I can still see it in my head. You walk in there and there'd be a whole bunch of pendulum clocks, grandfather clocks. And if you set the biggest one out of sync and you walk out, within a matter of hours or days, depending on how many clocks you got and how big and how small they are, they will resync together to that biggest clock, that biggest pendulum. They will resync without anyone having to do anything. That is called resonance. It's not just this hippy dippy woo woo stuff. It's resonance. When the smaller tickers sync to the bigger, stronger one, ticker, tick tock, clock, clock, your heart, right? When a man in the audience starts to clap after the band leaves the stage, and you're like, man, was that it? Did they just finish? Other people join in. Boom, boom, boom. And soon the whole audience is clapping. One man brought hundreds, if not thousands, into resonance, all doing the same thing to the same beat. Clap, clap, clap into sync. The human nervous system, your nervous system, does the same thing. From biggest, most powerful, to the smallest. And it all begins with the heart, the general of the nervous system, the strongest field generator in the body. If you bring the heart into coherence, you bring the whole system into coherence, from the brain all the way down to the cellular level. All systems are synchronized, working in perfect harmony and unison. And the emotional experience of coherence, calm, groundedness, joy, love, appreciation, gratitude, connection, empathy. What about incoherence? Well, the signature emotion of incoherence is anxiety. And then we got all the other negative ones that are underneath that. But you bring the heart into coherence, and that signal communicates not only inside of you, with every cell inside of you, but with every nervous system in the space around you. They know everything about you. You know everything about them without saying a single word. Because you're reading each other's heart field, and they're reading yours. Most especially with your family. Most especially with your wife. And you know when you're in sync and when you're out of sync. When you're in sync, life is easy with her. You guys have had the same thought and taken action on something without talking about it. And then you're like, did we talk about that? No, we didn't. Ha ha ha. You finish each other's sentences. And when you're not, everything is harder. Your kids feel your state immediately when you walk into the house. Your wife instantly knows what you are burying, what you are hiding. She knows. Whatever happens inside of you is influencing them, good or bad. And modern men, we cannot just leave this to chance anymore. We can't afford to be ignorant of this anymore. Ignorance is bliss. It removes responsibility. You can say, I didn't know. I'm just going to keep putting my head down and grinding. I'll sleep when I'm dead. And the pressure keeps coming out sideways. And God, I will not blame you. But awareness brings responsibility, the ability to respond and affect a different outcome. Not just for you, for your wife, for your kids. When you train this intentionally, when you bring them into resonance with you, literally pulling your family towards that state of positive emotion and connection from your inner state, not from how you work out, not from how you eat, not from how much you love them, how much time you spend with them, how many vacations you take, going to sports with them, saying something and following through, not from that, but from your inner being. That is called relational energetics. When we intentionally induce coherence together, when the strength and groundedness of one nervous system, you, stabilizes the ones around you, that's co-regulation, science speak. I remember a moment with my son in the garage right here, because you guys, I'm in my garage. I have a propane heater there. I'm in my garage. I insulated these walls. Nothing fancy here. I was on the floor there, right there, 3 feet away from me, about a year and a half ago, and he was having oversized emotions. And my son, I don't know if it's just boys, but he gets full Vegeta. He gets Vegeta mad, and he rage cries. And I was post workout. I was taking a shavasana because I do shit like that, and you're gonna start doing it too. And I asked him if he wanted to lay on my chest. I was like, "Hey, buddy, I know you're having a hard time. You want to lay here with me right now?" And after a couple of seconds, he hemmed and hawed, and he was he's letting it out, and then he did. And I just held him. I didn't force him to stay here. I just held him. And I just dropped into my breath. I didn't say anything to him. I just dropped into breath. I set a timer. I took my shavasana, slow, low, deep, calm, all belly breathing, pushing my belly into his. And about 2 minutes into that, I felt it. His little, he was probably 3.5, 4 years old at this time. His little belly started to push into mine in sync with my breath. His breathing it just changed. It just changed and it matched my breathing. No words. I didn't try to give him a gentle parenting therapy session or explain that he needed to breathe. I just did it. And he came into resonance with me. That is co-regulation in action. You can't give your kids anything that you don't possess yourself. Habits are not taught, they're caught. Your children, and let's be honest, most adults, I'm not talking about your wife, talking about you, can't regulate themselves. First 6 months of life, your kids 100% completely rely on you for emotional regulation, for a sense of safety. They need it, not just from your touch, from rocking them, from the sound of your voice, from the smell of your hormones that you're secreting, but from your nervous system. From this, your heart. That's where they get that. They can't really begin to self-regulate to breathe and make sense of like, oh, I'm really feeling emotional right now, until at least 3. And they still need your help dispelling the possession, because that's what emotions are. They're a possession, intention of big emotions like my son did on the floor. They need your help to do that. Not just to show them, but to do it with them until they come into resonance with you. And yeah, we got high intensity, low intensity, tension release, self-regulation. We talk all about that in Order of Kings and in Forge. And you can find all that stuff online. I'm not going to get into that right now. Even at 5 years old, they still need your nervous system and your guidance to break through the big ones, the big emotions. My son's a heck of a lot better than he used to be when he used to go full Vegeta. Sometimes he still gets there, though. He still needs co-regulation. He still needs to borrow my nervous system sometimes. The greatest gift I can probably ever give him. If dad is calm, the whole home feels calm. Life is calm. And the boy feels calm. But if dad is stressed, the whole house feels it. And people say the woman sets the emotional tone of the home, and when your wife is stressed, how does it feel in the house? But I don't think that that's true. Because if dad can hold center, if he can hold coherence, when mom is struggling to keep it together, when she's having a hard day, which happens, we can have a completely different experience. Because it's dad who's the rock of the home. It's the dad, it's the man of the home who sets the emotional tone of the home. He's the rock, not rigid and hard and unfeeling, but because he can hold the emotions without shutting them down. Because he can hold them within himself and he knows what to do with them. And to bring himself into coherence. He can do that from the depth of his coherence because it's something that gets stronger the more that you practice it and you train it. And through doing that, he can bring the rest of the home into resonance with him, into coherence too. Sometimes when it comes out sideways from my wife, because she's been with the kids all day, I get it. I can absorb that. and breathe and just see her. And man, I love her so much. I can remember the first time I laid eyes on her and the first time that we made love and when she said yes in the tree. And I can intentionally turn that on. And it sounds crazy right now. And I can just let it crash over me and I can say, yeah, okay. Yeah. And I can just continue acting, unthrown by it. Within minutes or hours, she might say something like, hey, I'm sorry for letting that on you earlier. Sorry for being so frustrated when you came home. A lot different than if you go to give it back or you run away to your man cave, which is really a little boy's cave of gadgets, or you totally freeze. The man, the head of the home, should you decide listening to this that you really want to be that, to be a patriarch in the actual sense of the word, the man sets the emotional tone of the home. End of discussion. Most men are doing it unconsciously. Whether you realize it or not, you set the tone. Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss, but awareness brings responsibility. This is actually what you mean when you say you want to be the safe harbor for them. That's why leadership in the home begins with this: self-regulation first, not communication techniques, not gentle parenting hacks, self-regulation. Because when tension hits, somebody has to hold steady. Somebody has to do it. It's not going to be your kids. It shouldn't have to be your wife. That's an inversion of the roles within the home. Someone has to hold it steady and not get everything in line out of fear. And not flee and escape into counterfeit comforts and rest that never make you feel any better, that just make you feel worse and disconnect you more from the people around you. Somebody needs to hold steady and not freeze, leaving everyone in the home to wonder where the hell you went, even though you're physically here. Where did you go? You're not here right now. Think about the harbor wall for a moment. Storms roll in, winds racing, waves crashing, but the wall holds. It takes that. Not as a martyr, doesn't panic, doesn't pretend that the storm isn't there, doesn't try to yell the storm down or tell it not to be so stormy, doesn't try to anxiously placate the storm or give it a therapy session. It just holds. It just holds. And because it holds, everything inside the harbor is safe. That's the role of the father. To be the harbor wall. Not from rigidity, not from suppressing emotion and maintaining discipline out of fear or in the name of accountability. I can't tell you how many times I hear that one. But through regulating your nervous system to keep everyone and everything inside feeling calm and safe while the storm rages around you until the storm can pass. That is being the safe harbor. That is creating an eye within the storm where the light can come through and you can be like, wow, this feels amazing. It's beautiful here, even though that storm is raging. And it happens at the level of your nervous system. Really at the level of a trained heart, because that's where all this begins and ends. Remember what I said about the biological oscillators? It all starts here. And guys, this isn't just woo-woo hippie stuff, yoga hippie stuff. It's not this divine masculine polarity speak, men's work nonsense. It's measurable. It's real. Study 35, 1994, researchers wanted to test this kind of hypothesis, this relational energetics. Crime had increased 11% a year for 7 years straight in Washington, D.C. That's a 77% increase, which is terrifying. I wouldn't want to live there. I wouldn't want to raise kids there. They tried something wild. They enlisted a group of people trained in transcendental meditation. And they meditated together in increasing numbers over the course of 8 weeks. And the largest group at the end of the study, I think, was 4,000 people. And against all odds, something insane happened. As the number of meditators grew, crime rates dropped by 22%. Violent crime dropped during this time by 15%. And the quality of life index in the city improved. Even, this was a tough time for President Bill Clinton, even his approval rating improved during this blip of time that they were doing this study over 8 weeks. And once the study ended, everything went back to how it had been. Everything went back to normal. Crime, rape, robbery, assault, murders, everything went back up. A group of people intentionally inducing coherence reduced the collective stress, not just in the meditators, not just in their homes and their wives and their kids, but the entire freaking city. And it's documented, like real research, real science. Oh, that word. Researchers can also take two bonded people like you and your wife, and they can sit one inside a Faraday cage, which there's no electromagnetic activity that's going to get in. No signals are going to get in there. They can sit the other one outside of that room. You can sit them essentially back to back with this wall between them and this electromagnetic shield. Stop anything from getting in. No signals in, no signals out. And they can tell the person outside the wall, they can instruct them to start shifting into physiological coherence. That's that state, starting with the heart, of nervous system balance between sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system, stress and relaxation, which brings the brain into coherence all the way down to the cellular level, all the way up. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? The brain, the heart, the hormonal expression of the person inside the cage shifts to, this is a Faraday cage. No signals are supposed to be coming in here. Nothing. They shift to match the state of the person outside. They shift to match physiological coherence. And this works not just with a wall between them, not just with an electromagnetic buffer, but at a distance too. Not only does your centeredness, science speak, your coherence, create safety, security, and positive emotions for yourself, it does the same for your wife and your children and increases the stable bond and attachment and connection between you. Your coherence will shift their physiology, even at a distance, if you just intend it. This is real science, guys. This is safe harbor effect in action. This isn't just speak like, oh, I want to be a safe harbor. So many coaches out there do it. I have done it. And one more thing here. John Gottman, marriage expert, leading marriage researcher, will pick people in his love lab and ask them to bring up contentious topics that usually lead to disagreements and arguments with each other. And he's got them hooked up to devices to measure their heart rate, their blood pressure, their stress hormones in the moment. And he watches, he looks for resentment. He looks for the micro expressions of resentment and judgment and contempt. He looks for things in their language that indicate this as well. But he measures that cortisol, that heart rate, the blood pressure. And before couples even escalate into arguing, the stress hormones tell the entire story, because the couples who get emotionally flooded and they can't recover from the negative internal emotions before the micro expressions and the arguing start to come out, and the judgment and all that, before any of that comes out, the ones who get emotionally flooded and have the highest spikes in stress hormones are the ones that are most reliably going to get divorced within the next year, just 12 months. It's not the resentment. It's not the contempt. It's not how they argue. It's what's happening inside of them. Because when nervous systems flood, then communication breaks down. Then it's me versus you. Not because you're a bad communicator, but because that's what happens in the level of the brain when you're in sympathetic nervous system activation, fight or flight. That's what happens. Every single other problem follows. It's why self-regulation and co-regulation, they come first. That's not on your kids. It's not even on your wife. She needs accountability. It's on you. That is, if you want to be the leader of your home and you want to be the one that they need you to be. This is what that actually looks like. So what does this mean for us? It means that your job isn't just to work your ass up to provide, which I want you to keep doing. I'm not telling you to quit all of your responsibilities. It's ludicrous. Your job isn't just to bury the pressure. Your job is to learn what to do with it, to learn how to carry it, to diffuse it like an electrical ground, to bring your inner circuit to neutral, to come into physiological coherence, that balance between stress and relaxation, so you're not hemorrhaging energy anymore. You're not hemorrhaging presence. Being in sympathetic activation is exhausting, and it will pit you against the people that you love the most, no matter how disciplined you are, no matter how much you read The Daily Dad. That's what all these divine masculine guys mean when they say grounded, to be the container for emotions. This is what they mean. To have a skill of coherence. That's what I call becoming hard to kill. Strong enough to carry the weight physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, peaceful, not harmless, and easy to love. Meaning that through your practice, you're present, radically so. You can get on their level, your wife, your kids, inducing the physiological state hormonally and in your brain of connection, looking them in the eyes, feeling what they're feeling, and just holding them without needing to fix it, just being with them. That's empathy, to feel into empathy. They need both of those things from you. The beast, tamed. The warrior, gardener. Strength without love becomes armor and sword, rigid, cold, detached, accidentally cutting everybody he loves with his hardness, his capacity, his strength. Love without strength is spineless, with no direction, no boundaries. And the modern father has to be able to do both. Strength wrapped in love. And guys, men like this aren't just born. Every once in a while you meet a guy and you're like, wow, he's a rare one. They're made. This isn't just something that we fall into. Through all of history, up until recently, we've had initiations to bring us into this knowledge, and we have to bring it back. We can't just expect our kids to figure it out. And we cannot just hope for some elders to come and initiate us someday. We have to be the men who relearn and reteach ourselves these things so that we can set our sons and our daughters up for success in a world that's just going to get more complicated. So here's a simple thing that you can start right now. 3 minutes. 3 minutes. You could do 3 minutes per person. You could do 3 minutes a day. Heart-focused breathing. If you've been here, you know what that is. Put your hand over your heart. You could also just focus on that spot. Breathe in for 6 seconds through your nose. That's parasympathetic. And breathe out for 6 seconds through your nose or your mouth. Big belly. Do this now. And now as you're doing this, don't do this if you're driving, please, for the love of God. But if you're not driving, close your eyes and think about from wherever you are, you're walking into your kitchen. And I've done something for you. I've cut a lime and I've cut a lemon in half. And I put them in your refrigerator because it's nice when they're cold. And so you open your refrigerator and take that lemon out. Look at it. Give it a little squeeze. You can see it's juicy. It's a fresh one. And now I want you to put it in your mouth and I want you to bite into it. Feel your teeth sinking into the skin of it, and that lemon juice squirts into your mouth. Well, some of it runs down your hand into the cut that's on your hand. That burns. And you feel that, right? You had some kind of response to that. Some kind of physiological response beyond the mind. Maybe you felt the burn in your hand. Maybe your mouth watered a little bit or a lot. Maybe you tasted it. Maybe you felt the sensation on your teeth. Keep breathing. Stay in that heart-focused breath. Bring to your mind the most cherished memory with one of your children. It was the moment that your first was born, the moment Theo was born, and I can remember his little cries. I can remember the weight on my feet like lead as I walked over to him at the scale. And I can remember his little footprint being pressed onto my arm, and I can remember holding him that first time, and I said to him, "Hey, buddy, welcome. It's your papa." And I bet that you can feel that too. Think about the first time that you saw your wife. What about the first time that you really made love to your wife? The moment that she said yes. All of this is happening right now. Just like the lemon, your brain is releasing oxytocin, bonding hormones. And oxytocin is anti-stress. It is stress mitigating. Your body's releasing endorphins that blunt pain and increase pleasure. Serotonin that calms you. Dopamine that brings you pleasure and satisfaction and leads you to want more of this, of what you did just now. Anandamide, which binds to your THC receptors. Your heart brings your brain into coherence and into a brainwave state that enhances connection and the ability to feel into the ones that you're with and to feel a presence beyond all of you that ties all of you together. You might call that God. You do this for 3 minutes a day, every day. You're training your nervous system for connection, for relationship, and influencing the people and the home and the community around you. Remember, the Faraday cage, when one person shifted into coherence, the other person's physiology came to match it. Even in a room that was supposed to be cut off from any signals, even at a distance. The intention is thinking of that person just as we just did. It's not crazy. It's not complicated. Do it every day as a matter of practice. This is the actual training for the next level of leadership that you probably want. And that your family, they need this from you. Being a safe harbor, being a fucking great dad, being a husband that can make the relationship even more fiery, more connected than ever, even with kids. You can do it. It's not just something that happens. It's work. This is the work. It's practice. This is the practice. We cannot afford to leave it to chance. And watch what happens to the energy inside your home. I want to pull something up for you guys while we're sitting here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen with this podcast, but you might. You might be able to, because then the question is, well, okay, does this actually work? What happens? What happens when I begin to do this? I'm going to tell you what happens. What happens is this. My wins have been that I've been getting up 4 or 5 times a night and taking a deep breath and transmitting coherence to my baby and not getting angry about the nonsense and daily routines like putting the kids to bed or giving them breakfast. In fact, my wife tells me that she's noticed that change the most. Biggest change I've noticed is the ability to just kind of make space between myself and whatever is actually going on. Naturally falling into coherence breath. Now when I get overstimulated or angry, I just reset. I'm so thankful because I see this shift in my boys. I'm so much quicker to play with the kids and to play enthusiastically. And this morning I heard the baby crying and I just went in and I grabbed her and let my wife sleep in. In the last month, my wife has thanked me multiple times for working so hard on myself and said that she's noticed a big shift in me. My wife and I are laughing again and everything's fun. My relationship with my son has expanded. I lead my family now, like actually leading my family. I'm not just here. This morning, my wife and I weren't communicating on something, and instead of putting my walls up or closing off and doing something I'd regret later, I just had a conversation with her. Imagine that. It turned really well. It felt really good. I was like, wow, that's new. There's more. Things that used to push me over the edge, shorten my fuse a little bit, I kind of just breathe off and laugh off now. It's changed the entire outlook of the house. Reacting in these situations in a different manner and holding a little bit more patience and breathing through these things is huge. The whole household has been feeling good here lately. And dude, I don't know what's going on with my wife. She's all interested in this work now and she's asking questions. She started working out and losing weight, and she even wants to do this with me. On top of that, our sex life has reignited in a way that we've never reached before. And we're actually making love, not just having sex. It's pretty wonderful. That, guys, that's what happens. That's the impact of the work. This is the next level. This is it. We are faced with immense challenges nowadays. Challenges that our ancestors didn't have to worry about. Man, I wish it could be so simple if I could go out just with the hunting party and just get that done. Be great. Our children will be faced with so much more. Our job is to shield them from the storm so that we can draw out their fullest potential and the fullest expression of their God-given purpose in this life. And then to equip them with the tools to thrive in a world that's built to keep them incoherent and exhausted and impulsive. And then we can only do that if we have those tools. Because again, habits are not taught, they're caught. And you cannot give them what you don't have. Discipline is so much, guys, but it isn't enough anymore. Fatherhood, husbandhood, family leadership requires something else too. Not just softness, being a more feminine man, no, but an open, radiant heart. And this isn't just hippie stuff. This is coherence, the practice that I'm talking about. Sun-like. The sun, the symbol of the masculine, that is your gift. Strength with love, presence with power. That's the man that your family actually needs. Not an anxious human doing on autopilot. Think about a 1950s household, 1950s dad. What do you see him doing? I see him sitting on a recliner with a newspaper and all is good. This boy comes up to him and he's like, "What's up, son?" Ruffles his hair. Gets up, kisses his wife, tells her how beautiful she is. Now imagine that same setting, but dad's anxiously getting things done. He's going so fast he drops his coffee, and that it doesn't feel good. Man your family actually needs is not an anxious human doing on autopilot, rushing, but a human being present here, now, all in with them. That's not something that we're just born with. It's something that we train. It's uncommon. And it's the greatest gift that you can ever give to them. That, my friends, is all that I've got for you today. If you're listening to this and you got questions, you got things coming up for you, just DM me, Rob Bill Jr. on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok too, but Instagram's better. Email me, rob@robbilljr.com. I'll do my best to help you out. I got programs. We got a big brotherhood coming up, probably in April. You can get in on that. I'm limiting that to 20 guys. We've always got the King's Forge for 30-day tactical training in these skills. We've always got Order of Kings coming up, which is total life change physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. 16 weeks of high intensity training and brotherhood and accountability. That stuff's always there, but just shoot me a DM. Just email me. I got you. No man has to go this alone. No man has to figure this out alone. Thanks for being here and have an uncommon day. Peace.